Let's now settle for the details. And the National Communications Authority has directed MTN to immediately deal with challenges with the billing system. It also asked the operator to submit a detailed report by the close of today and resolve other problems. Now, this was contained in a press statement issued by the National Communications Authority. Earlier on, I went through and have captured a little wrap for our viewers. The National Communications Authority in a statement noted MTN must ensure that there is an immediate resolution to the billing system. It also further directed a refund of all losses suffered by affected consumers. MTN has also been directed to inform the affected consumers of the compensation package prior to its implementation. According to the National Communications Authority, the action was influenced by complaints across its platforms by consumers on the MTN network over what they believe to be wrongful billing. The incident, which started on Sunday, December 1, continued through Monday, December 2. The regulator says in addition to this, some calls to MTN's call center were unsuccessful. Following this development, MTN has been ordered to submit a detailed report on the incident, the necessary remedies by the close of work today. The National Communications Authority assured the public that the needed measures will be implemented to avoid the reoccurrence of this challenge. Meanwhile, the mobile operator has denied receiving any directives from the National Communications Authority regarding their data challenges. Sela Madadivo is the chief executive of MTN Ghana, and he has been speaking to us.
On December 1st, we launched three main things. First of all, we stopped upfront recharge deductions for CST and apply that as a tariff increase. That's the first one. And we have a very complex portfolio of products, which meant that the work we had to do was extremely complex. This was the reason we couldn't actually meet the tariff increase on 26th November. We needed some extra days to do that. But in addition, we implemented non-expiry, plus we implemented what we're calling flexible purchases of data bundles. So the lesson here is perhaps we could have staged them, focused on one, and then implemented the next one after several days, and then implemented the next one after several days. However, we are excited that we're coming back. We've gotten most of these resolved, and we're looking forward to the next few days mopping up all the other issues that come through. But then the second thing, again, is to take the opportunity to thank our customers for being patient with us and also apologize for the situation that they faced over the last 3 days. We're going to continue to work hard to ensure that we get to normalcy very shortly. But as of this morning, you should have the volumes that reflect the expectations of our customers much better.
For you, did you needed more time to properly work on these things for it to be implemented? You thought the time was too short for it because these are different payment platforms and all the rest that you're working on. Maybe a little bit of time could have avoided this challenge.
No, time absolutely would have had a lot more time to test. We could have done much broader testing. Typically, when we implement these very massive projects, we will test with a small group and then expand that group into a much larger group so that we can have, what they call regression testing. After that is when we actually go full scale. This time we didn't have the opportunity to do the large scale testing, and we had to basically put everything live from the very small testing that we did. So this is an unusual situation for us, and we don't expect to have these issues going forward.
The National Communications Authority issued a press release that we've seen, and it's saying that within this number of times submit a report and make sure that all these things are resolved. Can you meet that deadline?
I'm actually not sure what you're referring to. We haven't received a letter yet from the National Communications Authority.
I'm talking about a press release that they sent a copy to. That was a press release that was sent, not in letter. We have a copy of a press release from the Communications Authority saying that they want you to address these problems within a specific time, send a report to them. Are you going to work, or are you going to meet that deadline?
Sure. Once we receive the letter, I'll be able to comment. We haven't received the letter or the directive from the NCA, and I'm not sure which press release you're referring to as well, so we'll have to look at that.
In terms of rolling out these packages for your subscribers and all those, did it came from the regulator, or was it your own volition that you did that?
No, so the agreement with the regulator was to stop the upfront charging and apply the 9% CST as a tariff increase. So this has been done as an industry across the board. So that's the primary motivation. However, we had our own internal plans to launch flexible bundles and also non-expiry at some stage. So these were things that were in the works. I empathize with customers and the notion of data being expensive. But I think it's a broader discussion that we need to have as a country. We need to really understand all the inputs that go in and how different stakeholders in the chain can support bringing the cost of data down. For us, it really is about ensuring that we're able to maintain the quality of data. We're able to give customers the experience that they require. There are also quality of service standards that we have to meet, which means that you have to invest in a certain way to ensure that you're able to meet those. So there are a number of things that go in that we have to make sure all the stakeholders involved come together to have these discussions.
So let's get onto the line and speak to the Director of Customer and Corporate Affairs at the National Communications Authority, Nana Dufie-Bedu. Good afternoon, madam. And let me first get some clarity from you. Have you officially, as we speak now, sent the letter to MTN? And have you had a notification that they received this letter that is going around that you directed to do ABCD?
Yes, hello, good afternoon, and a pleasure to be with you. And in response to your question, yes, the NCA has sent a letter to MTN, and the letter was sent last night.
With respect to some of these corporate communications and corporate engagement, whoever dispatches the letter comes to the notice that X person has received the letter. Do you have that communication now that an individual, an official from MTN has indeed received this letter?
We can be assured that the letter has been sent to MTN.
It has been dispatched, but do you have
the letter has been sent to MTN.
But do you have the notification that they've also received it? Because the MTN chief executive... I
think we should go straight to the issue and speaking for the National Communications. Yes, the National Communications Authority has sent a letter to the operator MTN.
Okay, you gave some clear directives in this letter that by the close of today, they should submit a report to you. We are just about a few minutes or few hours, or maybe some few hours to close of the day. Yes. Have you received the report yet, or they are still working on it?
No, as at this time that we're speaking right now, and we have not received the report from the officer, and we are expecting that the officer will definitely send the report within the time frame.
So some scenarios here, what if by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock they haven't done that? What will happen to them?
Well, then the NCA would have to look at whatever the appropriate sanction that applies to not use directly from the regulator and apply that sanction.
Which would be?
Which would be various. I wouldn't want to...
License withdrawal, fine?
Sanctions vary, so we would have to look at what exactly has happened before we determine the sanction. I wouldn't want to say we would do this because the officer may send the report, they may do it other ways, or so let's wait until the deadline. What happens?
Ma'am, again, just to backtrack a little bit, and again, so I got from you that the letter has been sent from your end.
The letter has been sent from the NCA to MTN.
Okay. Also, the bit about your press release that you issued, some are saying that it came too late because this thing started on Sunday, Monday, and we were expecting it to come out earlier than that with respect to the directive that you actually outlined in this press release.
Okay, so what happened was that generally there was a consumer uproar about cost of data, right? And then if you look at the regulatory framework we work with, it says that customers or subscribers are required to send a complaint to their service providers, and if the complaints have not been addressed, then they send it to the NCA. So when we heard about the uproar, initially it seemed like a general uproar against all telecom companies in Ghana. It was when we started investigating and started receiving the second level complaints that we realized that MTN may have a problem. And so we set out to do the investigation. And as has been the norm and as instructed for the operators to do, as soon as they have a challenge, they are required to inform the regulator so that the regulator knows that there are some service disruptions going on, and then we are able to engage them, determine the level or impact of the disruptions, and then find out from them when it will be resolved, amongst other things. So this is what happened, and after not hearing from MTN, the regulator felt that it needed to let MTN know that they had to comply and let us know what has happened, ensure the resolution of the challenges, and as well ensure that all losses to affected customers are refunded accordingly.
Madam Nana Dufie-Bedu, Director, Consumer and Corporate Affairs at NCA, I appreciate your time so much and thank you so much for the education. And we'll be coming back to you for further development if anything should happen, Madam. I appreciate your time so much. Now let's move on to other stories. And the scientists at Crops Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research is pushing for the adoption of common beans for industrial and tissue value. Dr. James Sibuo says lessons from Ghana's neighboring suggest that the crop can boost the country's gross domestic product as well as address the iron and zinc deficiencies in our diet. Live FM's Kwesi Deborah explores how the country can tap into the common beans and its potential.
Today, students from Kwadaso Agric College are on a visit to a common bean farm at Crops Research Institute. It's an open day and many farmers are also in attendance. Doctors Louise Butari of the International Center for Tropical Agriculture and James Sibuo of the Crops Research Institute take them through cultivation and benefits of common bean. Millions of farmers, many of them women, across the globe cultivate the crop for domestic consumption and commercial purposes.
Common bean is different from our traditional cowpea because there are two different crops. It's not what you call a variety of cowpea. This one is common bean or dry beans in some countries. But the ones that are popular in this country, common in this country, is cowpea. There are two different crops.
Over 2 billion people in developing countries suffer malnutrition due to iron and zinc deficiency. A 2015 report by the Ghana Statistical Service shows 66% of children between 6 and 59 months, as well as 42% of women, are anemic. Iron deficiency affects half of Africa's population by way of poor growth, impaired cognitive development, and maternal mortality. Experts believe common beans can be an inexpensive solution to such nutritional challenges. Dr. Evelyn Edukwatin is food scientist.
All the products here have been made from these pre-cooked beans. So right here at this point, we have meat substitutes where we have products that are similar to what we use in our small chops or in our fast food joints. So we have different levels of substitution of the beans. Here we have, it is like a beef burger, but it's actually 100% beans. There is no meat in this, and this is suitable for vegetarians. High protein, high minerals.
Beans are becoming a tradable commodity on domestic and international markets. Demand in many African countries are hardly met by domestic production. A few exceptions are Ethiopia, Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania, who are net exporters.
We use the Ethiopian example because Ethiopia adopted the crop recently. And for them as a new crop, they put it in a window for cash and for export. And especially what we call white PB beans. Is the white color beans, you see the small white you see there. And they only grow the crop for restaurant in a dish, but also for export.
As such, bean production needs to be increased by addressing constraints and inefficiencies in cultivation and activities along the value chain. Crops Research Institute is undertaking a project aimed at reducing poverty among smallholder farmers.
The Crop Research Institute started evaluating common bean varieties from International Center for Agriculture International Center for Tropical Agriculture for about 10 years now. We receive about 400 accessions of seeds from PABRA, Pan-African Bean Research Alliance, International Center for Tropical Agriculture, and other partners. And after evaluating for several years, we released 4 varieties in 2016. Since then, we have been conducting demonstration fields with farmers across the country. And now we want to promote the marketing aspect of the crop.
This will be achieved by adopting the bean corridor approach, that is, targeting interventions along the bean value chain. Initiatives cover access to good quality seed, climate resilient, high yielding, nutritious, market-driven varieties, as well as complementary crop management practices. Agronomist Dr. Stephen Yabua.
Common bean is a new crop to our environment. And one of the things we are doing here is to explore opportunities to increase productivity of the crop. Yeah, so under the integrated crop management component of the PABRA project, we are also trying to see how we can also use granular fertilizer to improve the productivity. So we are not just looking at foliar fertilizers, because granular fertilizer is the most common fertilizer available to farmers. So we are seeing how different rates of NPK, urea, and other forms of fertilizer, such as organic fertilizer sources, can also help improve the productivity of common bean. So we have set up a different experiment where we are looking at different rates of zinc, different rates of urea, NPK, organic fertilizers, different organic fertilizer sources from different companies to see how they can help improve productivity of the.
And there'll be more on this feature in our subsequent business bulletins. Let's talk about finance or the banking sector, because the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans are showing the public that the sector is safe and sound for business transactions. You know, it's coming on the back of the recent Afrobarometer report suggested that confidence in the sector has declined. Chinibwa Kodiabuachi is the Executive Secretary of the Association of Savings and Loans Companies, and he joins us in the studio for some interesting discussions on this particular sector. So, Chinibwa, I thank you so much for your time. And one would ask that as we speak right now, what is the situation in your sector like? Are things getting bad? Because this Afrobarometer report suggesting that they don't want to deal with you. They prefer the banks. Confidence in your sector is dropping.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. The savings and loan sector, to be honest with you, it's in a better position as compared to a year ago, and even before the Bank of Ghana announced the license revocation. You mentioned the Afrobarometer report, and the public response was that they didn't have enough confidence in the sector. I agree with the public at the time that the survey was carried out, because this survey was carried out just after the license.
September.
Yes.
September, well, yes. Quite a while.
It was just after the licenses were revoked. Okay. And 2, the receiver had not started its payout. And so, naturally, anybody who had locked up funds and had waited it over the period and is not getting the money will not feel very comfortable. But as we speak now, a number of the people are receiving their locked up funds through the receivership process.
That is your members?
No, I mean the public, who had their funds locked up in the savings companies.
Okay.
And just this week, we have even realized that there are some who the receiver has credited an account at CBG, but because they have not even received any text message, they are waiting. And I know about 10 of the people who, when they say, we are not getting our money, so they say, call CBG, call the contact center to find out. And when they found out, the accounts had been credited. And so we know that the receivership process has become so critical that if they are able to get their monies that has been locked up for so many months, not even years, the confidence will come back. And let me assure the public that now things have changed in our space. Hitherto, if a savings and loans company were not paying attention to the needs of the customer, and for that matter, they had challenges. Now, the relationship between the companies and their clients have improved.
In percentage terms, for those who, how many of your customers have received their funds from the receiver? Because there are some people out there who are still complaining that they are struggling to get their funds. Any fair idea in terms of, in percentage terms, that maybe about 70% or 50% of your clients have now received their funds, and therefore that should aid the confidence build-up that you're talking about?
Yeah, there are two kinds of customers here to me as an association. One has to do with the ordinary customer who was doing business with the savings and loans that went down. And so these customers, to a larger extent, majority of them have not received their monies. Why? Because if you look at the data available to us, about 50% of the total customers who were affected were with GN Bank. And majority of them also were with UniCredit and First Allied. We know First Allied customers took the company to court and their institutions were locked, and so the receiver cannot have access to the database. GN too, because of the court case, their customers will not be able to receive. So if you look at it, these companies alone...
Just one clarity, because of these suits in court or applications in court, that has delayed the payment of the payment to these depositors, if I get it right.
We believe so. That
but have you gotten that communication from the receiver, or being an industry person, are you getting some information that because of this, the process has slowed?
Okay, I know because of the legal processes, the receiver is unable to pay their customers. And so you remember when the receiver and the Bank of Ghana decided to go ahead and take the claims and process it and that. You remember the central bank was sued that they should, there was an injunction, and therefore the court ruled that the central bank and receivers should respect the court decisions. And so they had to pull back.
Okay.
So if I were a customer, I'll be worried. But the other side is that the case is in court. It is unfortunate. We shouldn't have gotten to that level. So we are appealing to the courts that the legal system, we should speed up the process, rule on the issue faster,
so that people can get their money. Your final words as you wrap up on this, the way forward for the sector with all these problems, what can be done to ensure that we get the confidence back and ensure that the sector plays its role by dealing with those in the medium-sized sector as well as rural areas? What's the way forward for the sector?
Just today, before coming here, we're having a workshop looking at the national data on credit. And I can assure you, more men have credit as compared to women. But the lower tier, savings and loans, rural banks, credit unions, microfinance companies, we serve more women than men. Okay. So if you are looking at people who serve the lower tier, women, and also rural areas, we should focus on savings and loans, microfinance and all that. But what we see is that we are not paying much attention to these people. Two, we are appealing with the receivership process. The financial institutions who have their locked up funds in these defunct institutions, let's release the monies to the financial institutions. If you release it, they will be able to serve the public. Three, corporate governance has been improved. And to be honest with you, even January, we're going to do the second round of building the capacities of our directors. Now, customers should continue to do business with savings and loans, and we are very confident.
Well, all too soon we have to draw the curtain down in discussion. Sorry, and that's all for Marketplace on your JoyNews channel on Multi TV. My name is George Yafe. I hope you're going to have a nice day, and we're always 4 days into December. Christmas is coming soon. Enjoy your afternoon.